guys, I'm Emmy and today I want to share with you guys my journey through depression and how I got through it. A little background, my depression wasn't a sudden thing, and I would also went through phases of being quite depressed. Sometimes at night I would just start to really blame myself and not like myself. I get so anxious, I feel like I can't breathe. I can't keep on living like that. I have always struggled with a very negative image of myself. I still remember for many years, sometimes at night, I would wish that I would just disappear, or the thought of me being buried or crushed by something would sort of be a relief. But I wasn't understanding why at all. And when I woke up in the morning, I would just go on with my life as usual. So I wasn't paying too much attention to them. I just thought like, oh, everyone has a little bit of darkness in them. And I, of course, was not the most proud of these thoughts. And I just kept them to myself. I never really told anyone. I wasn't aware of the time. Deep inside, I had a very strong fear of abandonment, rejection, self-worth, self-esteem issues that I am only realizing in the past year as I have been on my self-work journey. At first, mainly due to relationships, but of course now I realize there are a lot of other reasons, but I began to sink into this deep depression where I felt like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. And at first, every day I just want to sleep because I feel like I suffer more when I'm awake. When I woke up, I just feel like I'm stuck on my bed. I don't have the energy to get myself up. I know to a lot of people, it's easy to think, wow, you have such a great life, you have a great job, you have all these things. How can you still be so ungrateful and still be depressed? And that's exactly what I thought about myself at the time, and made me even more depressed and hopeless. Like maybe before I would think, oh, if I work harder and I reach this goal, I'll be happy. If I'm in a relationship, I'll be happy. And I've always been chasing these next things, thinking when I get there I'll be happy. And I think maybe I get to a point where I realize these external things, of course some of them did give me a sense of achievement, happiness at the moment, but there was something lacking within me that I wasn't aware of, and I couldn't just rely on these external things and people to fill that void. I've always been someone who is quite keen to take actions when there's something wrong. So the first thing I did, I tried therapy. I think I went to see at least 3 or 4 therapists and even psychologists. None of them seemed to really help. Of course, therapy is a big part of my life now, but I think at the time I wasn't even open to it. I think at the time I just haven't met that right therapist. I feel like there must be just something wrong with me, and I'm so selfish to be acting and feeling like that. And I remember whenever I went to therapy, I would first describe myself as this ungrateful little shit who is selfish, doesn't care about anyone except myself. And even though I have no traumas at all in life and have everything, I still don't know how to be happy. Throughout my depression, I kept on working and making content, but I think I was sort of hiding behind content that doesn't really need to show how I was truly feeling, because I was still processing it and I didn't feel like there's a point to share. It's not like I found a solution, right? And I wasn't proud of my depression either. I was talking with my friend and considering the option of seeing a psychiatrist and getting onto antidepressants. At the time, my friend, out of the blue, suggested, why don't you give ayahuasca a try? At first I said, no, I'm not into these things. But then after a while, I realized there's nothing much to lose at this point. So I thought, okay, why not? The key thing I need to mention is ayahuasca was the first step that I realized the main reason of my depression. Before, I was especially hopeless because I didn't understand why. With ayahuasca, I realized no matter how much I have, how many things I achieve, I would never be happy if I don't like myself in my core. I tie my self-worth to all these external achievement or attention and validations to try to fill that empty void inside of me where I didn't believe that just me existing, being who I was lovable. Because I have to do the work within myself, but I never did before. I was just going through life blindly. I always said I had no traumas, but I wasn't aware that in a lot of the traumas I actually block out because of human beings' very strong survival instinct. I was not connected to myself, so I had no connection with other people. I didn't even know how to love myself, and I've always wanted to be in control of everything. But now I've learned the more you try to be in control, the more you will end up feeling out of control, because most things are out of your control and people will always be people. That's when I would sometimes suffer from anxiety. And to one point I just felt like I was this evil person that did not deserve to live. And realizing that self-acceptance and self-love would be the first step that I need to make changes in my life. And so that was the beginning. After ayahuasca, I flew back to Hong Kong. I list out the list of things that I was going to change in my life. For example, implementing meditation, how I would change in my work. No more photos where I would edit my face or body shape. There was a period of time where no matter how I looked in photos, it would not be good enough until I edit them. And I know that's the first step of self-acceptance. And I also know that I need to start discovering the good qualities about myself, because for the longest time I could never describe myself with kind words except things like determination, hard work, persistence, like more work-related qualities. And I also realized I cannot just keep relying on these external validation to fill my cup, because those things can be taken away anytime, and when that happens, all my self-worth would be destroyed. So I need to start filling my own cup and building my own self-worth. And I did feel like the universe was giving me a second chance, that through the depression, the thought of not finding hope and reasons to live, but the fact that I'm still here, God is not done with me yet. There has to be more in life that I'm here for. But of course, despite all these realizations, it wasn't smooth sailing from here. And actually, after I went back to Hong Kong for a while and went back to my old life patterns, my negative emotional addiction, so I booked an appointment with a psychiatrist to hopefully get onto antidepressants. This was another changing point in my life, because somehow the psychiatrist that I went to see was very rude and judgmental towards me. And she said, for you, the only way to go now is antidepressants. There's nothing else you can do that can take you out of depression. And I think naturally I have quite a rebellious personality. When people tell me I won't be able to do something, I tend to want to prove them wrong. And I wasn't completely against antidepressants, but I'm like, there's no way I'm taking this woman's advice. So I just left without taking any of her pills. I went home, decided to keep taking actions to change in my life. So I start journaling, I book coloring books, I listen to healing and ayahuasca music, continuing to make changes in my work, and also knowing I cannot keep holding on to relationships that are not in alignment anymore. And also certain behaviors of how I treat others, like generosity. I know it's so important for me to love who I am and be proud of the way I live my life. But of course, I'm not perfect. I still struggle here and there. Listening to Jay Shetty, Wizard Liz, and Louis Hay also helped. And what helped the most, and even until today, was listening to Joe Dispenza. He talked a lot about neuroscience, of how to overcome negative emotional addictions, your thought patterns that were reinforced for many years, day after day in your lives. It's almost like one day when you wake up, oh, how do I feel like myself? Oh, I need to feel angry, bitter, resentful. I feel like myself again. The challenge is, how do you overcome yourself? So to this day, every morning I start my day with Joe Dispenza meditation, which really changed my life. I've always said I was someone who's more negative. Like when I wake up, I would always think things are not working out. And so even before my depression, I was constantly living in negative emotions. And then I hired a new therapist that I am still seeing weekly today. She is amazing. With my therapist, I start to learn about like inner child work, really going back to unblocking trauma that I really wasn't even aware of that I had any. We did a lot of self-worth, self-esteem work. I'm still a work in process. I do believe healing is a lifelong journey. Certain changes and emotional addictions take years to overcome, but I'm learning so much more about self-love and self-acceptance. Even though I knew that staying in my old life in Hong Kong, in the previous relationship, would be, I guess, picture perfect in terms of what the society expectations or even family, friends of how they look, you know, a successful life would be. And for my work as well, leaving all that behind was not easy. Even though I'm still trying to figure out everything, there's still a lot in the unknown. There will always be in life, and I just know that I'm on the right path. And there are a lot of changes in daily routines and habits that actually really help me. So I think I used to rely so much of external validation on social media. I will always be addicted to my phone. Sometimes if you feel sort of anxiety or certain feelings, you don't want to deal with it, so you're just scrolling on your phone, trying to get that dopamine hit. But the more you scroll, the worse you feel about yourself. The less your attention span is, the less present you are in your life, the more you compare yourself with others. It's just a vicious cycle. Maybe before sleep, I would like scroll on phone for hours, going to sleep feeling bad about myself. But now I would always leave my phone outside of my room before I sleep. I would shower, skincare, and then play piano, another forgotten joy from my childhood. And when I play piano, sometimes it helped me process certain thoughts and emotions. Sometimes even if I just do it for 10 minutes, and then I would journal. I used to never journal before ayahuasca, and I suffered from sleeping problems for the longest time. Like, I wouldn't be able to switch off my mind. But no wonder, because I would still be on the phone scrolling and scrolling. Of course my mind would still be racing. And so now, without the phone, when I journal, it really helped me to get all the thoughts down onto the paper and just give it to the universe. And that helps me process anxiety, the desire to control things, worrying about things not working out. And then if I have extra time, I would read a little. I used to love reading novels when I was a kid, so I'm trying to pick that habit back up, nurture my inner child. And then I would play Joe Dispenza meditation as I sleep. But to be honest, I wouldn't say I do night meditation, because normally I play the meditation and within 5-10 minutes I would be asleep already. I think something about his voice just calms me. And then when I wake up in the morning, again, I won't be scrolling on my phone in bed because my phone would be outside. And then I would actually do my Joe Dispenza meditation. So it depends on how much time I have. It can be 5 minutes, 10 minutes. If I have more time, then 15, 25. Once a month, I would do like a longer, maybe 35 or even 45 minutes meditation. And then that would already get me to more elevated emotions. And then I would write my morning pages. How I started that was that I also came across this book called The Artist's Way. I just feel like I'm so lucky that I just kept coming across these things that just guide me through this path, that even though I don't know where I'm going yet, but I know I'm on the right path. The Artist's Way basically is 12 chapters. Each chapter is 1 week, and it will give you tasks. It's about uncovering your inner artist. And I know that sounds really vague, and at first when I started this book, I was like, I don't know if I have any like inner artist in me. Basically, the task is every day you wake up and you write 3 pages before you do anything else. Each chapter, it also has some prompts. For example, it would ask you about what are the 5 things you used to want to do as a child. Like 5 alternative life. If I'm not a YouTuber, maybe when I was a kid, I wanted to be a librarian, fisherman, a lab scientist. Then it will ask you why you wanted to do these things and how right now in your current life you can bring back these things. For example, if you wanted to be a librarian, can you read a little more? If you wanted to be a doctor, is it because you wanted to help people? Then can you incorporate charity in your life? And that's just one example. There's so many amazing prompts where you get to learn more about yourself. And these morning pages really help me because I realize I'm having so much fun every day learning more about myself. And that's such a huge progress from where I was before of self-hate. Before I couldn't even name one good quality about myself, but now I'm just discovering all these things that I love, that excites me. And my morning pages would be very different from my night journaling, because night journaling is normally like getting all the things out of my mind. A lot are still about distractions. It's not really about myself, because like I said, I'm used to relying on this external distraction so that I don't deal with that really internal deep fear or what's actually missing. So in the morning when I wake up, before the day even begins, I'm able to work more through myself without the distractions. Another thing about this book is each week it will encourage you to do an artist date, basically a solo date with yourself. It doesn't have to be art related, like painting, just anything that push yourself out of your comfort zone. For example, my first one was eating dinner by myself, which I have a fear of being alone, so I normally don't do that. And I have done things like taking dancing classes, which I felt so uncomfortable with at the time, but now I know it's good for me because it makes me more connected to my body, and every class was like overcoming a challenge. Taking singing classes, that's something new that I did last week. Or it can even be something simple like taking a sunset walk on the beach. Or one week I was in Hong Kong, I went to visit my favorite museum when I was a child, the Heritage Museum. My inner child was so happy because I saw all these things that I used to love. And I'm so proud of myself for the progress, that certain moments I just feel such love and connection and joy that 2 years ago I didn't think it was possible. Don't get me wrong, like I still struggle, like as human beings will always have highs and lows in life. My traumas didn't just disappear, or my fear of rejection, abandonment, fear of being alone. These are still things that I am working on and trying to overcome every single day. Preparing to film this video and writing down what I want to share made me realize self-love is what got me out of depression. I know sitting here sharing my journey with you is also part of self-acceptance and not be ashamed of what I went through. I hope that it will help you in any way. Maybe it brings you a little bit more hope, it gives you a little bit more courage. And just to remember, no matter what you're going through, there is light at the end of the tunnel, even when it doesn't feel like that. You do have the power within yourself to rewrite your story. The only way out is through.